Good morning. How art'st thou? How art'st thou? Is everyone okay? Welcome to a beautiful fall day. Beautiful, beautiful. So we're hoping that the internet will stay on because a lot of people have been having a lot of glitches. And it's a very typical fall day. So I've been practicing my weathermancy. Practicing all my weather stuff. So I do have a little channel, and we're going to tune in with the teams and the guides from the Assemblies of Light. Light. Everywhere there's light, and they're wanting us to tune in to see what's happening. So welcome to the day. Welcome to the day, dear lighted ones. My name is Celeste, also known as Joanna, and it will be Celeste permanently. I'm also known as the Princess. The Princess in the Galaxy. Is there any other names I'm known by, Father? Am I known by that? Seriously? Is that what I'm known by? Okay. Okay, Father. Said I'm known as the righteous one. All right then. I can go with that. I've got that. I dig that. I dig them apples. How's everybody doing? Just remember that I have 3 books on Barnes and Nobles. That is book number 2. Book number 2, Ascension Pathwork. I'm going to be doing this. I'm going to be redoing this probably in 2026 because there's a lot that I can add to it. So I'm going to be redoing that. That's what it looks like. It's just an amazing artist. I can't remember his name, but it's inside my book, the name of that artist. Go to his work. He's got amazing artwork. He's an incredible artist, and I'm so grateful that he allowed me his art to do my book. And I think this is the same guy. He gave me the permission to do a recover. This is the 3rd edition of my first book. And of course, the first book and their second book, the same artist. I'm pretty sure it's the same artist. So go into the inside of my books and look who the artist was. I just loved his paper. I just loved his artwork. So he allowed me to have it twice. And then on my 3rd book, The Dance with Creation, was Rosilli, R-O-S-O-U-L-L-I, Rosilli. And he has an amazing, he does a lot of goddess artwork. He does a lot of artwork that kind of interprets, spirit in motion and our alchemy. So it's really cool. So check his website out. He's an amazing artist. He has a few books that he's written about his artwork. Incredible artist, so humble and such a beautiful soul. And I'm so grateful that both of these artists have given me permission to have their artwork on my books. So I'm very grateful. So thank you to all of the beautiful artists that just, as soon as I saw their paperwork, I just thought for their artwork, and it's like, wow, incredible artwork. And it does connect with me being a conduit, all of the different things and the threads that I can see, the various energetic experiences that occur, and all of the energies that are always surrounding each and every one of us. So their artwork was so indicative of the energetic experiences that we all have as we're connecting with spirit. So please go and find my my books. I'm really grateful for their contribution, for the magnificence of what we move through, and what really goes on with energy and how we're all so connected. So I'm very grateful. In the divine relationship, yes, we're going to be tapping into the pillar of light, darlings, the pillar of light, up and down the spine, the pillar of light. That's how you intend the energy and the light to move up and down, up and down. So our intention today is to connect and be a part of the Assemblies of Light with the Galactic Federations, preparing our planet, preparing our lineages, preparing who each and every one of us are, of all that we are within creation. Thank you, Holy Mother and Father, for tapping into our new divine 5D Souls Blueprint. That we're very, very grateful for our blueprint. And all that stuff. Fall day. It's a chilly fall day. It makes you want to snuggle up on the couch in front of a fire. If I had a couch and a fire, I would do that. So we're going to talk about those things, the divine relationship, which is the only discussed by me. I'm the only one that was downloaded with that, and I'm so very grateful. And we're going to talk about the energetic fields, of course, and all that we are within the energetic fields. And we're going to talk about, of course, negative and positive, that's all there ever is, and the neutrality. We're going to talk about your soul's blueprint spiraling around in every moment and your soul fragments. And we're going to talk about the magnificent design of the DNA. That's all we talk about on this channel is higher consciousness, the omnipresence of Source Creator and who you are within it all. Are we ready, dear lighted ones? Are we ready to tap in and turn on and tune in? And then I think it was of our last video, many of you wanted us to do a bit more time talking about star seeds. So we can do that as well and have your questions ready, and you can just telepathically send them to me through your heart space. That's how you telepathically connect with someone. And when you're doing telepathy as a part of our protocol, you always want to have permission, right? When you're in these types of agreements and exchanges, you know that we tap into the celestial councils, the galactic federations, and all of your teams and guides in the higher realms and your celestials and the higher guides. So you're giving your permission to have your guides tap into your energy and have your energy move with being honored and being smoothed out. Your teams are assisting you in moving the energy. Anything that's in your fields that need to be moved, you can ask your teams to assist you with that. So that's part of the process when you come to these types of channels. My channel works like this. And so you can allow yourself that as well. We usually, if you can keep the comments and everything respectful in the live stream chat form, if you can keep them respectful, obviously to be respectful of the people that are providing free information for you. And if it's not your cup of tea, then please leave. There are still investigations going on my channel. Thank you so very much. And so we'll get right at it. So today's topics, we're going to talk about the magnificent within. We see that's your compass. Your compass is within. And when I first awoken many, many years ago, it was called the Christed Toolkit. Hello, sweetheart. Hello, gorgeous. Hello, gorgeous. We're going to talk about the magnificence within. That is the Christed Toolkit of who we are and how we manage the compass of within. That's all that matters is your compass. Your inner compass is what you align to every day. I remember when I was going through various dark, when Spirit would send me back to these really dark places to deposit light and go about different learning experiences. They called it school. I called it hell. Let's be real about it. Let's be real. Nobody else was willing to go to the places I went to. And they just wanted it to sound really upbeat and this is a real cool thing. Nobody's going to be doing this but you. And I said, okay. And it ended up being hell. Literally, it wasn't school. But when they would send me there, they would always send me with the final, reminder to always tune in within. Your compass within is all you ever need. And this is why you don't ever have to worry about taking anything from anybody outside of you. You can release yourself from, any of the outer belongings of the cults and covens and societies that want you to do rituals to give yourself away or to be a ritual to join their self of giving themselves away. All of these things that you have to look at the very core base of anything. That is energy. So anyone that's asking you to do anything, look at it and put the infinity on the table and draw it out. And if anybody is asking you to buy into something where you have to give something away or initiate yourself something to belong to something, then you have to look at why. Why do you have to give something away to belong to something, to get something back? Because Source Creator and how we're moving about as creator gods, we are each creator gods, and as creator gods, we're moving in the full understanding that we are now mastering our understanding of our multidimensional bodies, heart, mind, body, and soul, the emotions on how we manifest, and to manifest from a positive, honoring, neutral state of heart-based experiences. And we must start to begin to understand ourselves and why we believe what we believe, why are the traumas the way they are, how did we give our power away, how did we give so much importance to things in the outer when they really weren't that, we really gave them a little bit too much power, we gave them a little bit too much consideration, we lifted them a little bit too high because there was a lot of woundings coming back when they didn't lift us as high or they didn't hold us in high regard. So there was so many generations that were going through these traumas of healing and looking at who they were, of healing and looking at beliefs and perspectives. How did we hold what we hold important? Where did we give our power away and why? The lineage, the social, the ancestral, the church and state systems that allow us to believe in so much. But really, again, the compass from within is all that is ever needed, and it will align you to your highest and your best. And it is the only thing you have to remember as you're navigating every day through profound change, because there will be profound changes in our human social collective that have never been done before, that have never come forward before, but they will in this human collective. And it's going to be important changes that have been needed for a long, long time. We just haven't believed in ourselves at a collective. Remember, our collective heart is manifesting what's unfolding in the social collective. It's our collective heart saying we're ready for new systems, we're ready for new leaders, we're ready for these new situations to manifest themselves about. And so thus then, in that manifestation of what's unfolding in the social collective, there's certain beings and there's certain bodies and there's certain unfoldings that will implode because they cannot stand on the lack of integrity or the no morals that these systems are held within. And those that are also holding these systems up have no morals. So they have to self-implode. We then have to go back to the drawing board, which this should be the only drawing board that we create things on. And in the understanding, and then the triangle within this, the heavens, the collective, and Gaia. And that is your manifestation tool from here on out. That is your alignment tool. That is who you are within who you are. And so when I do my vocational alignment sessions, when I do my healing sessions, when I do my helping you align to your highest and your best, that is a very simple compass. And it's always you. It's always your God self. You don't need anything from outside of you. Your only outside experiences are the inspiration sent from your higher self and your teams, your guides, your ancestors, and Gaia, because Gaia is also an active participant. She is also an active consciousness being. She is within the consciousness omnipresent field, the same as God is. And so Gaia will constantly send you synchronicities in her nature, in her animals, for us to pay greater attention, for us to remember who we are as animal healers, to remember who we are as animal speakers, to remember who we are as oceanic, cetacean speakers. You know, many of us have those within our lineage experiences, and we're coming to bring them forth. Are we back online? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Are we back on? 3, 2, 1. Are we back on? Yes, we are. Yay. As I was saying earlier, there's been a lot of glitching in the technology, so we'll see how far we get today. And so those are the only compasses that you really need. And so we want to just keep reminding everybody that the most powerful magnificence that you are, that has ever been, and what connects you as a starseed is that compass within. It is the Christ Conscious Toolkit that I was given way back when I first started my work. It was the Christ Consciousness Toolkit. And I spoke about it on my radio shows. If you go back to any of my old podcasts, we talked about it from the very beginning. And it is all that you are in understanding the multidimensionality of all that you are, the the holographic experience and the mirror within the micro macro of all that you are, you know, the beautiful little codons that the mother father DNA and mRNA are calling you back to itself, into its threading of itself. It's calling you back. And as the mother and father activate you, as you're going through and you're surrendering the various the various densities and things that you're choosing to let go of, you're also being called back into the center of you as well. But you're the commandment. You have to do this every day. You have to do your path work, you know, if you so desire, you know, or you can just bounce around and flop around. The light will continue. Your soul fragments will continue to come up for you to face in your spiraling of now ascension. You're going to have to continually look at, you know, the positive and the negatives about who you are as divine feminine, divine masculine. You're going to have to harmonize those beliefs, because in 5D we will be androgynous. In 5D we're not going to look at religions as something we belong with. There's just going to be certain practices that we go about in honoring Source Creator, us as Source Creator, us as Master Godly Creators, and us as united connection with all that is, because we always have been. It's been kept outside of us and it's been kept separate from us and all of those things because they didn't want us to feel the power of who we were as creators. They wanted to continue giving our power to the outside experiences and the extrinsic experiences outside of us as if it was more important, or if it had more answers than it does. Never does. It could never. As we've said in a billion of our offerings, there is nothing outside of you that knows your soul's blueprint. There's nothing. Even if someone says that they've read your Akash, anybody, the highest of the highest beings, their higher self would only give them like seconds glimpses into 1 or 2 Akashic timelines. There's nobody that has full access to everybody's Akash. There just isn't. There isn't. And if anybody says that they are, they're lying. They're absolutely lying. The Akash has so many different beings of consciousness all the way up to the 13th dimension that protect and veil the Akash in various ways. The beings that I remember, this is something really funny. I didn't think it was funny at the time, but I laughed about it, you know, shortly after. My teams, I love my teams. The man, one of the guides that follows me, I call him my muscle, and he's one of my guides. He's been with me forever, and he's huge. He's about the size of a mountain, really. But he's so funny. He's hilarious. And so I said, if I was ever gonna, marry another man, I would want it to be somebody like you. And of course, Commander Asher. I have so many crushes. And so he's just like the most hilarious guide, and he keeps me laughing. He's so, so sweet. And so anyways, I always see him, he's like Popeye, right? And he's got these huge muscles, and he's always naked. He's always naked, and he wears just this little, what did they used to wear in the, what were they called? Tarzan days, Zeus days, because he's a representation of Zeus, right? So he's got his little, bikini brief, his Zeus bikini brief, and he's muscles everywhere. I call him my muscle. He's when I see him, I tune into him. He's constantly going like this, he's like drive piling all of the entities and all the energies that are trying to get at me, right? So he's just like doing I call it his bowling ball. He calls it his bowling ball, his bowling ball swing. And he's just constantly bowling uppercuts to all these people and all these energies that are trying to get at me. So he's constantly, this is what he does. He's my muscle. And he is as big as a mountain. And then there's all the other celestials that operate in the various levels of dimension, because they can see what's going on and who has what intention. They see that how it's seen in your guides. Your guides have a multidimensional perspective of your soul's blueprint, of all the timelines that you belong with and who's threaded with it, your antagonists and your protagonists on every timeline and who's threaded with it, the timelines of anarchy and who's threaded with it, the times of chaos and who's threaded with it, because these are all the ones that have gone through trauma. So you're bringing this back in to reheal it and bring neutrality and love to it, because you're all one. So in this learning of higher consciousness that you're supposed to have, there's still these beings that play protagonist and antagonist. There's still ones that play chaos, murderers for you. And they're doing everything they can to keep following you around and following you around and following you around. It's just a big web of mess that they just keep trying to get in your energy. So you do have various guides that are here to protect you and make sure that your path stays clear as long as you've done your karma. When you've done your highest and your best, your teams will work 24/7 to maintain clarity and make sure that things are moved out of the way for your path. As long as you're moving through, everybody has to learn those lessons, right? your voice, your spiritual voice, standing up, reclaiming your power, reclaiming your light, working with your fields, working with your teams. You have to learn the basic, your basic housekeeping, right? You learn your basic housekeeping, and you work with your lessons. What are your lessons? And fall in love with yourself as a sacred child. As long as you're doing this path work, the heavens will support you and protect you on every level. You got muscles that are being called in, and all of these beings that are called in to protect you in various ways. And so my teams and my guides were seeing all of these people that were planning and plotting and scheming on the many times that it's done. It's a normal thing. And the bidding and the selling that goes on in the black web, and who's going to try and take me out this week, and how much am I going for? And so there was one of these situations, and I remember this is when I had my car. I was living in my car at the time, and I was just laying back there, and I was just like, looking at the ceiling of the car, and I was talking to my guides, and they were showing me something that was going on in one of these timelines, and these beings, the energies from another timeline, knew who I was in this timeline, this earthly timeline. And they were still plotting and planning to take me out because they knew my lineage, they knew my royalty, and they wanted to silence me. They wanted to, it's all about harvesting of resources, harvesting of the light, harvesting of the bloodline. Because it's, again, they're misguided beliefs. They're guided by completely wrong beliefs. Beliefs as to their idea of power was resources and gluttony. It had nothing to do with spirit at all. Spirit, the compass, is your power. It's your true power. It's always been your true power. But of course, they refused to do the work. They refused to see that way. They still wanted resources as power. And that's their fun. That's fine, their belief. But I don't have to surrender any part of me for their misconceptions and their misguidances. I'm standing in my beliefs, because I know what is true and I know what is real. That's when you have to stand as straight as the narrow. And so in this one timeline, they were coming, and they were scheming and plotting, and they couldn't understand why I wasn't just going to surrender all that I am in my spirit and my soul to these people with their misguided beliefs. And so there were spirits. So my other God was saying, okay, well, we've got a situation that's coming up here, Celeste. And I'm like, okay, and I'm like, okay, what's going on now, And they're telling me about it. And I said, well, should I be concerned? And they said, should I be concerned about what's going on? And they're going, perhaps, but we'll play along. We'll see how far they're going to go. And I'm going, are you sure? Are you sure we're gonna? I mean, this is my life we're talking about. And I can see my teams in their little swivel things, on their light ship, and they go, oh, well, they're sitting back like this. Oh, we'll play along. What are they going to do next? And they're watching these crystalline tablets, right, of all of these things unfold. Who's doing what and what's doing who and who's sharing what. And my teams just said, oh, we'll play along. We'll let them see how far they can go. We'll let them get themselves in the biggest mess that they can, because obviously the teams that I work with are far higher intelligent. They're far higher in, they know exactly what they're going to do 100 steps before it unfolds. And of course, they're directly linked with the Father's plan. And the Father's plan, as Commander Ashtar said, it is the highest protocol not to allow anything to happen to me. And so, and if anybody screws up, then they're going to have to talk with the Father, right? And so they know the unfolding. So it's in everybody's highest and best to ensure that this protocol goes through. And so this is just how it operates, right? So I'm just like surrender everything to them. And I said, okay, I trust that, whatever, and if anybody kind of bumps into me the wrong way, then Galtar's there, doing his own, doing his uppercuts and his little bowling tricks. But I've got that support, and I've got the heavens, and I'm here to teach, and I'm here to give my energy, and I'm here to give my Christ consciousness. I'm here to be and offer exactly who I am, because I do activate soul remembrance. I do activate, those people to realign with their soul's destiny, to realign with their soul's remembrance of who they are from the galaxy, anchor it into these beautiful soils, and start becoming their greatest ambassador to who they have been, and become a part of the assemblies of light. Because essentially that's what each and every one of us are. We're becoming this new part of these great aspects of light. Each and every one of us is the codon, right? And some are not quite turned on, so we have to be, and we have to work our way around, and we have to navigate around those that are not quite, aligned. And in that, you're going to feel many different things, because your fields are going to become more intense. Your fields are going to become much more sensitive, which I've noticed this week. I'm so sensitive right now to energies, and I'm having to really shut things down and just spend a lot of time, just processing. So it is a lot that you have to, discern for yourself. You can also work with your teams to turn things up and turn things down. If you're finding spaces to be too noisy, to be too frustrating, if you're getting a lot of anxiety around a lot of people, that means you've just had an activation in some of your sensory gifts. So then just work with your teams. Like I talk about that on all of my shows. It's not about you, your teams have to know how you're going about your journey. Is it, are you finding it really hard because your gifts have just really turned on? And are you finding it really hard to cope? And what are you doing for soothing, right? And this goes back to the infinity. If you've had your gifts turn on, which we've just went through a portal. So your gifts have just turned on. Have you noticed in the past week that you've gone to soothing addictions, overeating, watching too much TV, porn? All those types of things are negative addictions to soothe the body, the multidimensional bodies. But because you haven't been told these things, because nobody's told us how to work with our multidimensional bodies, our light systems, we've always gone to these things. I know as a starseed, when I was younger, I used to go to the cupboard, and I used to get Ritz crackers. We were never allowed to eat after dinner. It was a staunch rule. We weren't allowed to eat. It was very strict in my household about what we were allowed to eat and what we weren't allowed to eat. And I would, in the middle, late at night when everybody was asleep, I used to go and I used to sneak some Ritz crackers. Because the energy that I was trying to process was just too much for me, during the day. And you're sitting at night and your mind just keeps going to try and process the energy and process events, especially if you're highly sensitive, because you're processing everything to find out, how do I adjust myself tomorrow to not go through what I just went through? So especially when you're a high sensitive kid, you're always trying to manage it, but we want to teach children, don't manage it through the monkey mind. Manage it through positive and loving things, and reorganize yourself as a higher vibrational being, because again, we need higher light wisdom's intelligences to teach children how to properly manage what they're feeling and sensing, what they're being downloaded and how they're receiving. Because remember, if you're highly sensitive, it means you have a vessel that is a receptor of many different informations. You see how many threads are there? So one child can have many, many threads of information that is being received by them, but nobody's teaching them how to interpret and discern and then process it and then express it in a loving and positive way. And this is why some children, the only expression they know is anger, frustration, or anxiety. And then they go to the doctor and say, oh, I don't know why my kid's I'm feeling anxious. And so they put them on, anxiety medicines, which it totally defeats why the child is sensitive and beautiful as they are. So again, we need to understand. Goes back to the same lesson. Who are we? What do we exist within? What's going on within us? There are children, like myself, starseeds that have been born highly sensitive. That means we can interpret, we can receive, and we can process information differently than everybody else. It doesn't mean we're insane. It doesn't mean that we're schizo. It doesn't mean we're anything. It just means that I can discern and I can read and I can process information differently than the average person. That's what that means. I'm coded differently. My field is different. My aura is different. My aura is a direct reflection from my DNA and my inner coding. You cannot have two different auras. Your aura is not going to be an aura of somebody that does raping and trafficking on a person that's highly vibrational and that's an archangel. My aura is archangel aura. My aura is mastery aura. It's a reflection of my DNA. It's a reflection of my coding, inner, outer. As above, so below. If you're not working on your fields, your aura is going to be very static and electric, and it's going to have lots of rips and tears in it. You got to look after it. Your aura is like your chakras, your teeth. You clear and cleanse your teeth twice a day, 2-3 times a day. You should be doing that with your fields and your aura and your chakras. It's just maintenance and sustenance. Feed it with light. Align everything with light. Work with spirit in all things in all ways. Then you'll be feeling a little bit lighter. You'll be being more commandmentship of who you are as a multidimensional being, right? If you're feeling overwhelmed when you're out in circles or around certain people, pay attention and then journal it. How do you feel around certain people? This is how you can tell if people are lying to you and live in lies. Because when you are around somebody that lives in lies, your body, the inner body and the inner organs will start to tense up. And you'll start to clamp up. You won't want to talk around these people because you know they live in lies and they're just going to be spreading lies and gossiping about you. So you tend not to say a lot around these people because you know they live in lies and they're just going to share your life with somebody else. That is a lie. Right? They come to you for information so they can feed it back to somebody else and they can do whatever they want with it. They can screw. That's what happened to me. People would only come and ask me questions. They would only want to be concerned about me because they want to take whatever I was doing and feed it back to the negative dark-ass witch or the warlock that was doing harmful attacking and scheming to find out how they can attack me next. They only wanted my information. They only sent people to my classes to see how I did and what I did and why I did and how I did it so that they can make up a new attack. So this is where, you have to be that high priestess. Not everybody, the swine don't need to eat at your feet because they're swine. They're not taking your mana. They're not appreciating your mana, and they're certainly not paying you for it. So don't give them your mana. Allow Source, Creator, when you acknowledge it, you do your 3 A's, that's when Source steps in. Because Source says you're abiding by the laws of the universe. You're going to acknowledge it. You're going to accept it as a part of your story. Okay, I attracted that in to make me smarter, to make me hone into my gifts more, to make me allow myself that I am a commander. God is showing me that I am godly, and I have my power of godliness to say that, okay, boundaries, rules of engagement, standards. You're no longer allowed in my circle. Then you slowly start setting those standards, and you're now setting the protocol for how you want people to deal with you. And they're going to have to pay to talk to you. So it is the same rules of engagement that we've been talking about for quite some time. All of those from Calgary, all of those from my, who are they called now, Spirit? My family that have, so now they want to be known as family. I'm having issues with my bra today. Those that have been told that they are my family, the ones that were, had sent me out for adoption and were just doing hexes and curses on me my whole life because they were part of the shadow government and the Illuminati and selling me from cult and coven to cult and coven and cult and coven. As long as everybody got the use out of my money, but I don't have it. I don't have any use. I have not been given a penny by anybody. Whatever court documents that have ever been signed, because we've gone through this, all of my truths that I've stated is still the same. It's on my YouTube page. Nobody has ever told me about any documents. I've never given my permission to any government body or anybody to study me or test me, and it should have in the law of courts. Your parents only have diction over you until you're a young adult. In today's court in North America, I know in Canada, by the age of 14, you now can stand as a young adult, as a youth, and you can have your own voice in a court of law. And if you were to go and sue your parents at 14, the courts would hear you as an adult of your own voice, of your own life. And you will be appointed a lawyer to stand by that in the court of law. And so therefore, thus then, even at the most erroneous extended period of time, if there was any document signed that there was a government testing and observing and experimenting on my behalf, they only had up to the age of 18. Because in Canada, that's what the legal age of adult is 18. In the US, it's 21. Therefore, thus then, all agreements are therefore null and void. But of course, that hasn't been the case. In my case, they don't care. There was never any care given to laws, protocol, human rights, expression, who had laws to what, who had diction to what. Nobody in my life, there's been nobody beside me. There's been nobody call me. There's been nobody pretend to care about me. There's been nobody say that they're my friend. There's been nobody that has ever given any crap about who I am. There's been nobody phone me and say, I'm your greatest caregiver. I care about your well-being. I care about this is who you are as a person. I'm getting money for you a month. I'm getting this much money to take care of you. Please let me take care of you as best I can. If I was going to be an adopted parent, that it's not like this way, and we all know it, especially in North America, just talking about North America. When there are peoples and there are families that go to sign up for adoption, a lot of the primary reason people do adoption in these cases I'm speaking about is because they get government subsidies, which is sad and sick, but as was the case. And certain people and certain families are paid for the children, for them. Sometimes they're illegitimate and sometimes they're born within these cults and coven harems that the men do not and cannot account for all of their illegitimate children. And that's, again, how are their taxes? Again, it's a double standard we talked about last video. So they want the benefits of, say, they're being satanic and powerful or warped Masons. But then on the double standard of it, when it comes time for their taxes, and when it comes time to really do their business affiliation, and the money is going in and out of their business affiliation, it's all corrupt and it's all backwards. And nobody knows anything about anything. It's all hidden, secret. So double standard, playing both sides again. So you want the benefits of being a corrupt Mason, and saying you're all secret and saying everything's hidden and all this kind of stuff. You do all your corruption, you do this, you do that. You get your cake and you eat it times 12. You get your cake and you eat it times 12. The women don't have any say. You're using the women's life force. The women don't have any protocol. The women don't even know they're being sold or trafficked. Neither do the children. You're sacrificing the children and the women. You get to do whatever it is you want. The children are never belonging. The children are never known as legitimate. And this is absolute truth. The other day, just to follow up on this as proof, I was sitting in a coffee shop and 4 children were sitting in the booth next to me, and every single one of those children, except for one, the one was adopted, but they had been adopted by parents that had actually wanted them. There was 3 people that were talking, and they were in their young 18s, 19s, and 20s. They were all adopted. They were all talking about their different circumstances and why their mothers and why their fathers chose to do what they did. And they were in the exact same circumstances that I was bringing forward in all of my classes over the last 2 years. About parents not being honest and open about who their birth parents are and when they're going through adoption processes, or when they're just giving them away or shuffling them off, because that was some of the experiences that these children were talking about. They had been shuffled off from different family members, and they didn't really know who their dad was because they were living in conjoined situations. And these children were just, and the one girl was going, the one girl that was actually the one girl that had the parents that really wanted them, and she was brought up in a situation where it was fine, and it wasn't psychologically traumatizing, where they're spinning around like a top going, what the fuck is just happening? And it's because of everybody else's lies and deceits, and because of the secret lives that they live within. And all of a sudden the children are the ones having to carry that fucking weight and sort it all out. It's not okay. And after and in my discrimination case, and in all of these things that are unfolding out of what's going on in the underground, what's going on in the dark occults and covens, and how people have been hiding who they are in the fake churches and church and state, and how all of these people that have been calling themselves so elite and so important, and yet what they're doing behind the scenes is there's so much illegitimacy that now the children are coming out and saying, I don't know who the fuck my parents are, I don't know what's going on. And yet when they try and go and look, they're met with a whole bunch of government red tape and obligations, and some of them don't even bother because it costs too much money and it's too much time and it's too much BS bureaucracy to find out who they're even born to. And it's not okay. So I'm saying to the entire world and the entire globe, if you are mature enough to have sexual intimacy and put your willy-nillys everywhere and your ghibli bits everywhere you want, doesn't matter. You want to have the most erroneous, free sex life, all that you want. You want to have these sex cults and these sex parties and these manifesting orgies, all you want. But absolutely know that how it affects the child that actually is born and spawned from that type of energy and that type of belief system and that type of intention. It actually goes into these children, and now these children are now grown adults, young adults, trying to figure themselves out in life and where they're going in life and who they are in life and how they're manifesting who they are as a divine being. Because they're not taught or told anything about life and stories about who they are as source creator. They're not taught anything about DNA. They're not taught anything about no matter what and no matter what is outside of you, you do have that essence of light and you can manifest your way forward. Because there's no reason why somebody like me should be alive in the similar shit that I went through and the similar bullshit of people impaling me trying to never ever find out about who I am. So not only was it just not only was it an incorrectness of all levels, illegal on all levels. And that's why the people that say that you're my mother and I didn't mean to give you up for adoption, whatever your story is, I don't care, we're not family. I might have your genetics, but I'm 54. Nobody has been beside me on this fucking journey. So nobody's going to be claiming anything on my side of my name. That's why I chose to change my name. Because nobody's claiming it. My name is what I brought myself through hell. And I shouldn't have survived. So these children, and I was just so proud of these children for standing in such, I was listening to some of their stories and I'm going, oh my God. This is the illegitimacy on one coffee shop in one afternoon in 1 hour. That's what I heard. So what are the chances are of anything else going around in the city at any other place that's going on, and what North America has created out of its lack of beliefs and lack of morals and lack of integrity. And if we're not sure about who we are within, you're going to have more chances of exactly sharing your life force with any Tom, Bit, and Willie. And you're going to be doing it in a way where you're not going to give a crap about who that child belongs with. You're not going to give a crap. Why would you? As soon as they come out of you, you're just going to shuffle them to whoever you want to. You're going to sell them to your next cult or coven. And they're going to do spell work on them to see how much they can survive off. Because maybe they have an inheritance, or maybe there's an insurance policy on them. Or maybe you're just going to sacrifice them because they're the firstborn. These are absolutely stories. This is what's facing children today. And these are children that are going into the workforce today. So we've done a great job, unhealed adults. So I'm putting it on the table for you. Are you ready to sit down and do your little infinity? And are you ready to heal? Because children need answers. I need answers. Not one person has brought peace and truth to me, even though there are those people out there, elites, that have had the information about my birth parents and the shadow government that have had my information. I'm not sure why they would have it. I'm not sure why elites would have my information. You want to know why? Ask me one question, why? Because they were harvesting off me since the moment I was born. They used me. I was their battery source. This is what children are used for nowadays. They're trafficked and they're harvested. I was the child born. And very few, anybody in my family, went and they held their honor of who they were with Source Creator. They were given those opportunities, and this is the last 3D timeline. All of them went back to the same toxic patterns. They fed their same woundings and the same toxic behaviors of addictions. Sexual addictions, incestual families where they think it's okay to incest your family. And then you wonder why children sneak out in their bedrooms in the middle of the night and get a little pack of Ritz crackers. Because we don't deserve to be molested by our fake-ass parents that pretend to be loving and caring for us. Because our real fake-ass parents were out being too fake-ass, getting their elite on and harvesting off of their children. Because they live these really elite lives, and God knows if anybody should come forward with 1 ounce of fucking integrity and truth. And these are the people leading the fucking countries. Let that sit in for a second. And if you heard the stories from these 3 children, my God, I wish I had a trophy for each and every one of them. Thank you for standing the fuck up, children, because your parents didn't have the balls to. I will never stop standing up for these children. And you know what? You know what just makes them so much more beautiful? Is they're so humble and pure at their hearts. None of them ever think about bringing their stories and having a YouTube channel and talking about it. They just want to forgive and move on. But they're going to figure out that when they get into the societies, and if they have enough paperwork on themselves, and they're going to find themselves a way around a job, and they're going to hopefully get themselves into the clear. And hopefully they will never ever be treated the way that I was, even for 1 day. It didn't matter what I had. It didn't matter what I created. It didn't matter how much schooling I had. It didn't matter how much networking I did and how good I was at the bank. It didn't matter. It didn't matter. It didn't matter how smart I was. It didn't matter how much I came forward with these beautiful stories of precognition. It didn't matter about how much I could explain about the universe and what energy is and how it's felt in the field and how you can heal yourself and how this and how that. As a conduit, I can take very complex information and I can make it a story. And you're going to go away with one story about creation. You're going to go away with one story about who you are. You're going to go away with one story about energy. You're going to go away with one story about God that nobody on this planet will ever, ever dictate, ever translate, ever bring forward, ever again. There's nobody on this planet like me that can take complex information about the universe, about the omnipresence of God, about the quantumness of God, and you will take that bit of information and you will be forever changed. And nobody's giving me donations. These are the quantum truths about what is before you, dear lighted ones. Except the two people that will always be blessed by the angels, and they will always be walking with angels from here until their last timeline, wherever they choose to be. They will always walk with angels because they chose to give to me, and they chose to be what so-called parents were never to me. So as you go forward today, and we're going to read our little one page, and we're going to get into our starseed questions. As you go forward, know that every time you keep a truth from somebody, you're weighing them down. And I know that conscience, there's a lot of people that don't care about their conscience. There's a lot of people that don't care about anybody else, obviously. Because people are plotting and planning and scheming on taking you out. They're not going to give a crap about how you feel. They're living on the street in the cold and in the rain, and you somehow get up every day, but they don't give a fuck. So obviously they're not going to care about how weighted you are about the truths that they're keeping. But now all of a sudden, because their karma is kicking in and all the backfire of their decades and decades and decades of voodoo and black magic are now backfiring on them, and they're now seeing their children go through blockages. They're now seeing their children go through stoppages. They're now seeing that there is karma backfold because nobody has still done the right thing and given me shit. Nobody's done anything, and your karma's going to keep going. Your families are going to keep being blocked. Whatever it is you find important is going to be blocked and going to be taken from you until I get what I'm owed. I'm 54. I've received nothing from anybody on this planet. The 180 people that know exactly what's been going on in the background and in the governments and in the cults and covens and in these secret dumbass elite societies that think that they're above all others and they're untouchable. You're coming down, each and every one of you, because you've messed with the wrong person. You cannot swap out what you think you are not and take it from somebody else because you have money to pay for it. And 6 and 12 different spiritual hitmen that are going to be sent right back the second you send them out. Because again, my guides are like mountains and you don't have any. Your ancestors have surrendered to me. Because they're disappointed, dear ones, because you had authority, you had resources, you had role model influence. And you chose just to use it and abuse it. You didn't care about the damages and the weights that people now have to carry because of your lies, because of your raping and your harvesting. Do you know what it feels like to be harvested by one person? It's this type of energy that's being sucked out of you in one sexual orgy encounter or sexual act where they're thinking about you consciously and pulling on your energy. That's by one person, one act. Now imagine this 187 times. That's being trafficked and raped 187 times. When you rape a child physically, that's what happens with their energy. When you harvest in your sex parties and your sex swinging parties and you're changing your wives and you're sharing your wives, that's what happens on one thread. As I felt like this my entire life. And the thing that hurts the most is these people that have claimed, they haven't claimed anything except their greed and selfishness. They're the ones that are in court doing everything they can to say that they know you, to say that they've spoken with you, to say they care about you, to say that they're looking after you. 100% absolute fucking lies. Nobody's looked after me. Give me a fucking break. I sleep out on the street. I've had a job since the day that as soon as I graduated from high school, I went out and got jobs and I was like working 2 and 3 jobs and I've been working full time, except when I had kids. And even when I had kids, I worked part time. Nobody has ever stopped me from working and being a part of who I am and a contribution to this society and this experience. And when I turned on and when I awakened, I wanted to be a more active participant. I wanted to be more of a leader. I wanted to show people that you can heal and transcend trauma. Because when you awaken, you start to remember things. Your memory is turned on about all the things that happened to you that you just shut off. Or that MK Ultra shut you off. Or that they did their eraser spells on you. Because people do that in gangs and groups. So these are just real life stories, the real life experiences. As I move about, my life in the community, I'm in the trenches, I'm living in the life of the people. I've always brought forward my real life stories. These are not made up stories. They are my life stories. My life, my energy, my essence. These are my energies, my downloads. It's my work. It's my life. This is who I am with God. This is my work. Nobody was ever given permissions. Nobody's ever given stories. Nobody's ever been given a discussion to say anything about anybody using my intellectual property, my image, my videos, or pilfering it on any level at any time. Everything has been done illegally, as if I don't exist, but besides, to be the battery source for fucking elites that don't know anything about God. All they care about is getting the energy so that they look like a certain thing in a certain way, but they don't want to do the work. They don't care to do the work because their money will pay for whatever they want. They don't care how many children get sacrificed. They don't care about the lies and the defamations and the falsifications, the tampering with evidence. They don't care about how many things have been done on my, since spirit, I'm calling spirit. My Akash right now, since the day that I was born on this planet. I want from pre-birth, I want to right now. How many lies and fabrications have been told on my name, on my birth records? Far too many to count, Celeste. Because the files cross hands and nobody wants to take accountability and nobody wants to be held liable. So again, just as those 4 children sitting in that booth, I would be sitting with those 4 children, me being 54 and them being 18, 21. And your so-called mother comes back and say, oh, I'm your mother now. There's about to be inheritances that were supposed to be transferred to you at 18. There's supposed to be records and documents and truth transferred to you at 18, but nobody took that truth on. It was so much easier harvesting off me and keeping me held as a secret, keeping me veiled, keeping me just underneath the radar so that nobody would think that I was alive. And if I ever did awaken, the goddess Isis that I am, the goddess that I am, the goddess royal lineage that I am, it would never ever happen because they have so many people doing magic on me, so many people fabricating, so many people lying about me. And the warped Illuminati Masons and the warped Illuminati witches and warlocks, they all had it under control because they were paid by the shadow government. There was no fucking way I should be sitting here right now. And I'm just giving you bits and pieces of other stories that are true children sitting in the true reality, who also have parents that were in cults and covens and other Illuminatis that were just thrown to the side. And it could even be some of these children were even born in trafficking situations. So we have to deal with this. I'm bringing you true stories of what happens in the collective because I'm in the collective. I'm not an elite person sitting on my gold ass toilet. I'm coming forward and saying, these are the stories of true children. And in another 4 years, 3 years, 2 years, 1 year, there's going to be millions of children lifted from trafficking. Do any of the world leaders know? Are they even caring? Do they even know or understand how are these children going to be healed? Is there a system? The psychologists don't know anything about multidimensional healing. If this is what one vibrational rape harvesting experience feels like, how is that psychologist going to know how to heal one child coming up from trafficking, who is illegitimate, who has never been told who they are, who has never cared about who they are, and nobody has ever taken care of them, but besides the illegitimate asshole parents that are taking monthly checks for them and saying they take care of them, but they don't. They're being completely 100% negligent because they refuse to be healed, they refuse to face who they are, and they refuse to heal their sexual transgressions. Everybody has the opportunity right now. Everybody has the opportunity to go within and heal. Heal, people. You have spirit guides. You have God inside of you. If you have questions about who you are, if you have questions about what happened to you when you were a child, start the path work. Because the greatest thing and the greatest wave upon us right now This is my prediction. Get out your pens. The greatest wave that will teach humanity the most, and each and every one of you will absolutely be forced to look at yourselves, is when each and every one of these children face you and bring you their stories like I have brought my story. And what will you do? Will you ignore them? Will you try and sacrifice them because now they're speaking? Will you bully them because now they want to say something? Will you try and suppress them and subjugate them and limitate them and restrict them and transmute them into something that means nothing and try and get them set up to go into jail from absolute 100% false evidence, false tampering, wrong information, and bearing false witness? Paying innocent people to lie so that your setup can go through, so that one innocent healer that moves wormies back to the soil can go to jail so that you can think you've got her handled, so that your truth of being an absolute spiritual killer and hitman doesn't ever come out. And by the way, it's a Rico trafficking pedo ring. Because the children will start speaking, dear lighted ones, and you will have to face everything that you have done. And I am one child that has survived. And there's been nothing but abuse, suppression, and hindrance on my life. I have not walked one day as a liberated, free being. And it will be our greatest wave is to serve these children and help them heal. Because they deserve to know who they are. They deserve to know what they exist within. And they deserve to know what is within them as godly. And they will not carry any more weight. And their parents will take their accountability. And they will reclaim their power in their healing. And again, if all of you choose that I'm speaking to that have done this to your children and your sex trafficking rings and your RICO rings, and if you do this to every child that you don't think matters, they will be the exact ones that will be standing in front of you and saying, I'm going to be your karma until that karma is paid. And it will affect your family, and it will affect your money, and it will affect everything that you didn't think it would affect, because you thought to sacrifice me 27 times was just a thing to do. And you believed the pathological, abhorrent lies from one misogynistic person that was so wounded that all they did was lie through their teeth, but you chose to believe them instead of picking up the phone and having a conversation with the real true healer, the actual angel on earth, which I am. But everybody chose to believe the white-collar criminal, because all of you mostly are in the systems. All of our systems are absolutely corrupt. Why the governments have shut down. We thought in our day and age, at 18 when I entered the workforce, that we would have a government pension plan. We don't. They're now placing ads. You'll see it on your YouTube. You'll see it on your platform when you're watching your YouTube. You'll see it on your TVs. That you're going to have life insurance and funeral homes now partnering with the government because there's not enough CPP to pay for these things. So how is it that we talked about 2 days ago that a lot of these corrupt circles and a lot of these corrupt elites and the shadow governments were always having their hands and their monies into paying the funeral homes and the insurance companies? I said that 2 days ago. There's actually commercials about it. And then people want a POA because they think that I'm insane. The proof is everywhere. If each and every one of you want to know what our highest priority will be, and that will be to assist these children in feeling as comfortable and belonging and loved as they can be. Because they've been so horribly, horribly abused. And there's been no role models on this collective on any level. Where are the divine feminine role models, dear lighted ones? I know some of them, and they've been absolute devoted participants in my classes and on my radio shows. They're the highest role models that I look to. There are no role models on this planet that I look to. There's none on this planet I look to as a role model. There are no men that stand up and protect life at all costs. I have not seen or have not met a man that is worthy to stand next to me. It's been nothing but games, mental, emotional, spiritual, sexual games about who's more powerful and who's this and who's that. Nothing but games. They play games with life and love like it's frivolous. It means nothing. So again, God has placed me as karma for a lot of people because I was the only one that could do so and explain so and bring the stories in front of all so. These are the things that are absolutely facing each and every one of you for the lessons that you each need to learn. I'm speaking to those that have been abusing me since the day I was born, and those that chose to take part, that chose to take money, that chose to pay money, that chose to exploit me in the underground and see how much you were going to get for me next, to see how much my daily bidding cost was going to go for. Selling t-shirts and selling hats on my name. You all think it's a big joke. Let's hope in your next lifetime that your children aren't the ones that are being sold in the underground. And there's t-shirts and hats made out of them. So disappointed. These are the things that have happened in just the last week that I wanted to bring forward as true and real stories about the collective. And the children are starting to speak now, and so they have their right. And then we will have laws, and any dark occultism and any dark cult and coven, any dark Masonic witches and warlocks that choose to keep going forward in their corruption, there will absolutely be laws, and there will absolutely be people like me standing in the highest of courts fighting on behalf of these children. And I will read your energy field, and I will read exactly what's in it. Because if you force your way into any child's life because you want them on an insurance form, or you want them to somehow back you because they have insurance coming to them, because of the family that they represent in the highest of the heavens, you will not touch their money, and it will go directly to them because they will do something good with it. And that was promised by God to me on my lineage. And I haven't received a penny from anybody. And everybody in the shadow governments, everybody that's been involved in the MK Ultra military attacks on me, every single person will be held liable. Every person is held liable. You're going to be blocked on every level, whether it be your health, your family's luck, your family's abundance, your family's health, whatever it will be, whatever that you think is important to you, because you never had the right. You never had the right to use me as your battery source while you made millions, and I sit with absolutely 20 cents in my wallet. And thank God to my beautiful clients that send me money every now and then when they can. They are my godsend. They are the ones looking after me. They're not getting paid monthly stipends. So anybody that has ever talked about my name, you absolutely know that it's mirrored with a whole bunch of really great things. If you speak on my name in the negative karmic ways, plotting, planning, and scheming, you're going to get karma before your plan even unfolds. And you know that. Everybody knows that right now. Things are coming down faster than toast. Toast falling off a plate. Hot knife through butter. What else do you want to say about it? A fireball rolling down a snowball hill. It's coming down real fast, and it has to, and it must. I didn't deserve a drop of what happened to me. I don't deserve to be living on the street. I don't deserve to have people monitoring me and watching me and pocket watching me so they can slither in next and pretend they're family and friends. I don't want your apology. I've told you a million times. People from Calgary, people from the cults and covens, and people that you're affiliated to that are really important people. That are really important elites and people that think they're really great. And people that think you're so fucking important. If you're so important, then where's your accountability? If you're so important, why are you standing by your spirit and your soul? If you're so important, why have you not made it right? Why have you not brought truth? Because you're more comfortable living in a lie. You're more comfortable staying out of it. You're more comfortable trying to hide. Your karma will always find you. Somehow, some way, your karma will manifest itself through you. Because you know to make myself have peace in the damages you've done to me without any occurrence or even knowing me or even picking up the phone to say, I've heard some things, but I want to hear it from you. Nobody has done that. There's been not one drop of due diligence, not one. And yet, my medical records have been shared with cults and covens, criminals. My personal information and my finances have been shared with cults and criminals, shadow people that manage and handle life on the streets, because that's what the shadow government does. It pays certain people to look after certain people, to care for certain people, and then to handle them. Why? Why do we need to be handled? Why are we put in these special files? Project Stargate, MK Ultra. Why are we placed in these special files? Why are we so important? Some of us have DNA not like other people. Some of us are from special lineages and heritages, and they knew that. The Illuminati and all, right? They know everything. They have people that are specially paid to go and search your Akash and search your birthright and your astrology charts. And then from your astrology charts, they see how to best attack you, how to best keep you suppressed, what memory spells to do. And then the ones that are really meant to be powerful leaders, the ones that are really meant to be among the people, we're doing our healing anyways. We don't need your fucking approval. I heal people just by talking with them. I heal people by being in the streets. Maybe that's why God left me in the streets so long. I'm getting used to it. I don't give a fuck. Don't give a fuck. I know who I am. I'm a great leader. I'm a great healer. Whatever will be, will be. That's just the way it is. I don't need anybody outside of me to lift me up and say, hey, you're important. We now see that you're a prophet. We now see that your Jesus is there. I don't care. I don't give a crap. That was never my goal. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. What I care about is people have had the resources. People have had the time. People have had the opportunity. People have had everything. People have had the gluttonous was just there, dripping gluttony, dripping resources, dripping networking, dripping contact, dripping everything that anyone could need, anyone could need. These people had it left, right, and center, blowing it like it's nothing. And every night I sit in the cold. Not one drop. Not one truth, not one correct birth file, not one correct ounce of fucking care. So you deserve to sit in your karma. I will be the one that stands, and I will lift the skies for those children that have talked and come forward with their story so fucking brave that those 4 children did that day. And these were real children, and they laughed. And they found humor in their stories. And they were all telling each other as if it was okay. And they were finding consolation within each other's stories. There's been nobody beside me. Not one. And when I did speak about it, I was ostracized. And I was bullied. And I was silenced. YouTube corruption. I'm still silenced on my YouTube channel. And there are private affiliates and private so-called special important people paying them to silence my name so that they can harvest me and keep me to themselves. That's why they silence me, so that nobody else can harvest off of me. That's how selfish these people are. And if they could really get to me, and if I was really dumb and out of it, they would even put me under surveillance, and they would put me in, medical care, part-time medical care, so that they can take out my organs. And they can start cutting me up and using me. These are actually plans that are in papers in special files. This is what they talk about in their special corrupt Mason meetings and Illuminati meetings. How can we cut her up and use her? What part of her DNA are we going to use? It's disgusting. And so when I'm not online, dear lighted ones, I'm crying. When I'm not online, I'm crying. This is humanity. They're stuck. They're stuck in my organs and they're stuck in my blood. They have people come and set me up to see how close they can get to me so they can take things from me. And there's even more going on so that I don't ever receive the inheritances I was supposed to receive. And they're hoping that I go insane or commit suicide before I even figure anything out. This is how sick. These are true stories. what has truly been running humanity has been very wounded people that have run themselves from greed and hierarchy of power. And of course, we know what a 3D idea of power is. Insolence and greed and gluttony, to overpower and enslave those that are too weak and too unknowing to speak about what's been hidden from them about who they are, because they know things are going on behind the scenes covertly. And when they speak about it, they're sloughed off and they're ignored, or they're told that that's not how things are. You're not thinking of it properly. This is how it really went down. And it started from a very early age. That when you were told you were adopted, when you were told you were shuffled off, because of the acts of adults that were just so wounded. And all they cared about was money and their reputation within a church or a society. And they didn't care how many times you got sold or traded. All they cared about was they were seen for who they were in their community. And I've said from day one, the reason why the Father has allowed it to continue for so long, and it's all crashing down now, and the highest of the Illuminati are being shown, there is no other way out. That was the deal. I was supposed to come and teach humanity, offer humanity new ways of government, new ways of leadership that were directly aligned with the heavens, because we had forgotten our connection and we had kept spirit separate somehow. And the ones that have been running the countries and have been running the people and the systems have run us into bankruptcy, in which there's nothing left for any of the retired peoples. And so they've created many corrupt systems, from funeral homes to insurance companies. And they're using children and life force as commodities. And if you're lucky enough to survive, you won't be lucky enough to have your voice. And we've seen that as blatant as true on my channel. And in all the growing up that I've done, and the few people that have been so genuine and sincere to show me who they are as a beautiful human, is my granny, who passed away. I speak of her often. She was the only goddess I ever knew. And when she hugged you, the whole world changed. Because when you get hugged by a divine feminine, who knows she's a divine feminine? And her gardens are rich and abundant, and her food is blessed. You're going to have a village that everybody will want to live in. We've forgotten those things. We've forgotten them gravely. Where women are trashed and thrown to the streets. And they are worked out of spousal support. They are systematically abused to silence and shut up and taken out immediately if they do speak up. And they are even paid, and they are even searched for by elites and importance and entertainers, for entertainers to do tricks on them and to keep them veiled within magic, keep them veiled within sacrificing rings and bidding rings of the underground that only the elite have access to. This was a circumstance, dear lighted ones, and you're going to hear the stories when they break. my file and my birth and what had happened to me, and the many people that have had their hands on my life and wanting their specific outcome to enforce an outcome and to enforce circumstances. There was only one outcome. But I changed that story. So my heart said different. And I've proven that money doesn't run the world. People do. And God loves me. God brought somebody so very special to this planet to remind everybody there's going to be things unfold and you're all going to be brought to question and sit down with your own infinity and sort it out. Are you a balanced divine feminine? Are you a balanced divine masculine? And what are you being triggered in every day? How can you let your judgments and discriminations go? And when it comes time to provide that person their voice or that child their voice because they have stories that are so fucking important, they deserve to know who they are. They deserve to have their birthright of their parents that are both included in the making of their genetics. It is a fucking birthright, and we will have new laws. And the governments will bend the fuck over. Because the governments will not put red tape on every fucking human being. Because there's been so much debauchery. The slate will be wiped clean, and we will do our very best to get the children their answers. That is my promise. Because no child is illegitimate. There's just been very irresponsible people that have proven they don't care. And again, we go back to the circle that is. Please heal your wounds. If you are bringing children into this world out of your lack of care or out of your intention to manifest, your morals and your ethics are not okay, and you're going to manifest your own equal karma. And that child doesn't deserve to carry the weight of any of it. Are we not more intelligent than this? I ask that of all of you today. I wanted to share those special stories about those children. I was personally very proud of them, and I would have been proud if I was one of their mothers. I would have been your mommy. I would have loved you. So, dear lighted ones, I'm still offering for ascension sessions and donations. Still rebuilding my financial life from the mess that has been made. So please, there's only 2 ways to contact me. It is through the bank and it is through my PayPal. Those are the only 2 ways to contact me until I get my website up and working, whenever that will be. That's also in priority of monies coming in as well. Again, the various systematic abuses that have been suffocating in and out information and monies and support. So Spirit is guiding each and every one of you to clear your karmas in certain ways. So please heed Spirit and however Spirit is guiding you. I don't need your apologies. Your apologies don't mean anything to me. They really don't. Everybody's had 3 years to do right and apologize. What I need right now is money. So you can either donate and you can put your little apology in the comment field and say, I'm sorry I was a part of spell work and chanting. You can say whatever you want to say to clear your conscience, however God guides you. Your apologies don't mean anything to me. They don't. Because as I said, when I'm not here, I have to process the schemes and the plots and the plans that are an everyday thing. I have to process the energy. I process the energy so that I can walk around somewhat normal. So that my body can be somewhat normal in health. If I don't process the energy, it becomes disease. And how do I process? I have to cry. Because there's 180 people that are dedicated and devoted to making sure that I die on a daily basis. And then there's people in the underground that money is being transferred back and forth. And there's not 1 ounce of a society person out there in our official system of church and state that gives a fuck to ensure that I'm safe. There's blatant abuses on YouTube. I show every upload. Blatant. If you were to study my YouTube channel, you would see that the upload dates are being messed with. You would see that the views are being messed with. I take a photocopy of what the views are when I sign off, and the views are when it hits my playlist. The views change every hour. How's that? How do views go up and down every hour on an upload? How is that? Who's doing the pilfering and why? Who's paying these people in the background to take illegal surveillance? How and who are these people that are being paid for the illegal videotaping of me and my life? I've given no permissions. Nobody has access to me. Nobody owns me. I'm not a commodity. I'm not something you put on your shelf and take down when you need to be harvested. When you want your energy, when you want something, you're going to go have sex with somebody and you're going to think about me while you're having sex with that person. And why do you think there's so many jealous exes? Why do you think there's so many jealous partners? Why do you think there's so many jealous girlfriends that are coming after me now? Because they've been impaled so many times of being harvested sexually when their partners are thinking about me as they manifest sex with their partners. So now all their jealous girlfriends are all enraged and they want to come and kill me. Gee, thanks for that. Again, thanks everybody. That's what I do when I'm not here. Because I know what goes on when people abuse energy, when people are doing dark occult sex magic, when people are trying to manifest off other people's energy, and they abuse energy. They abuse the laws of the spiritual universe. They abuse universal laws. They abuse human rights laws. These are all abuse of human rights people. And again, if you are involved in a secret society, why do you think everything is in secret? It's not because you hold special knowledge. It's not because you're protecting life at all costs. It's because you're doing illegal things. The Masons, way back when in the beginning of times, after Jesus' crucifixion, was to support life at all costs and the honoring of what it meant to be in honor of life. It's just a corrupt business now. Nobody knows anything about anything. There's no spiritual knowledge in the collective at all. That's what happens when you have fear-based control systems. There's no intelligence in the collective. So where are the leaders? They're trying to figure out CPP. Where are the leaders? They're trying to figure out how to not to make a secret file not secret and give it back to her without being held accountable and liable for 52 years of criminal negligence and inhumane acts of cruel and malicious intention, premeditated murder, theft, fraud, exploitation, harassment, withholding of information, abuse of power, abuse of technology, abuse of Privacy and Information Act, abuse of the Financials Act, abuse of the Family Act, and on and on and on and on and on and on and on. YouTube, abuse of human rights, freedom of expression. 8 years my channel has been at zero growth. I will lift the skies for every child that wants their voice heard, and I will hear your story. And we will print books, and we will create healing systems, because you are, I am. Thank you, Holy Spirit. The magnificent of who you are within. Always follow your inner compass. It is never wrong. It doesn't matter how many outside of you are saying what. It doesn't matter how many outside of you want you to believe their story. You know what's going on. Follow your inner compass. That's all that matters. And God will lift you, and God will move mountains for you. And that is an absolute truth, and you can take that to the bank. Tune in, dear lighted ones. Bring light to your pillar of light, and we're going to tune in for any collective messages. Anybody would like to come through, we're going to clear and cleanse our fields with divine holy light. We are the divine experience of who we are in harmonization of the higher self. And we're calling in our light, calling in our power, calling in our experience of our own energy. And I'm so grateful for the goddesses on the other side that are allowing me to see and to feel and to know that they are a role model for me. I'm so grateful. I'm still looking for the role models on this planet. Haven't found any as of yet. Most of them have been killed or died mysteriously. And these are the leaders of the countries. We're so very grateful. Perhaps everybody will wake up and we'll start calling on better leaders, won't we? Just call your light to your center, call light to your DNA, call light to your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual fields, and take a deep breath in. Call light down into your pillar of light, and your pillar of light feeds all your chakras. Your pillar of light is being fed crystalline rainbow energy. Thank you, Holy Spirit, the magnificent of who you are. Your inner systems can heal you. Your inner systems can guide you to abundance. Your inner systems can guide you to your soulmate. Your inner systems can guide you to health. Your inner systems can guide you to all that you are as the divine godly being that you are, the creator God that you are, the assemblies of light that we are. I'm calling upon Commander Ashtar and the Galactic Federations, the Councils of Light, and the Assemblies of Light, any high beings that would like to come forward right now in the species that I'm asking to come forward, any collective messages. As we're healing and cleansing those that so desire to be of the higher essence of who they are and their highest and their best, can we please ask the angels of healing to assist each and every one of them in their higher selves, to bring their bodies and their chakras into alignment. Take a deep full body breath. In our connections with the heavens, in our connections with our collective, in our connections with Gaia, we ground through our North Star and ground light, all the beautiful children, all the beautiful energies. We love you, children. We love you, Gaia. We love you, angels and celestials. Thank you for being a part of our guiding teams. Is there any messages that would like to come through? Simply ask a telepathic message of goodwill and greater good through your heart space. This is how you telepathically connect with your collective. And remember, you must have permission. If you want to have connective energies and you want to practice your telepathy, choose somebody to practice with that you have a connection with, and then you have just connection and you practice and you have permissions from them. You always want permissions when you're tapping into other people's fields, but just plan it and organize it and have the proper protocols, right? Use of free will and non-interference. Because you don't want them to become out of balance, which is law number 2. The law of balance is so very important. Because when life is not in balance, things go chaotic. Like systems and bankings and everything that is reliant upon life. And then we find out the true meaning of life, which is not money or power or greed or status symbol or family name. No. How you actually play matters far more than anything else. So breathe in, dear lighted ones. I'm open to any messages. They're bringing forward heartfelt love and appreciation for all of you that are moving with intention on your path to see about the highest. Okay, they're saying celebrity within who you are. Each of you are meant to be the celebrity of who you are. That each of you have your own unique star quality. And that's meant in many ways, so that's the metaphor. So pick and pull that apart if you so wish. And each and every one of you have been in what you have called cloud clusters, the veils of illusions that you've been held within. Some of them have been within your own family beliefs. Some of them have been within your Akashic beliefs that you've chosen to take on as curses or hexes or illusions. Some of them have been your collective illusions. Some of them have been what has been done on the outer experiences to keep you in illusions, to keep you in falsehood, to keep you in lack and limitation, or thwarting stories or swaying stories. And these have all been intentional and unintentional, just simply because most of your collective has been walking around with the misdirection of who they are, what they exist within, and what's going on within you. Why it has been a staple teaching of Celeste. And if you choose to do this work on a daily basis, then you will not have those cloud clusters walking in and amongst your fields. Physical, mental, emotional, causal, spiritual, sexual, all of these are fields of energy you exist within. And as all of your collective is now clearing and cleansing who they are out, you will see quite naturally, profundity, that your own fields are becoming more clear. You're a more clear receptor. This is why, dear lighted ones, when you do go through a period of cleansing and clearing, that you're going to be more sensitive to energies and being a receptor of energies. Sometimes we haven't thought about that now, have we? I just thought it was my teams turning my gifts up, but I didn't even think about that as I'm being cleared in my fields and as others are being cleared in their fields, it's becoming more and more refined, so we're becoming more and more sensitive to receiving information. We're receiving the sensitivities of those around us. So again, speak with your teams and talk about turning things back or turning things down to give you a chance to get used to the acclimatized sensitivities that you've always had with you and the DNA that's being activated as a gift. Because you're meant to be highly sensitive. You're meant to read energy. You're meant to bring stories to the energy. This is your creativity, dear lighted ones. It's like you're sitting in a new creative ocean. So as you're feeling these sensitivities, what are you getting from them? Sit down with paper. Sit down with crayons. Sit down with paint. What are you getting from these sensitivities? These are your stories, dear lighted ones. They're activating you. Who are you? Every day. Do the path work. Who are you? Get out your journals. Celeste has many good ways that you can work with these experiences and turn them into something that you can offer your collective. We've said this to you in every time we have met. Each and every one of you are your own celebrities. Never look to anyone else outside of you. You are your own star cluster. And sometimes, yes, you walk in clouds of illusions. But you can clear those. You can cleanse those. Nobody outside of you tells you who you are. Nobody outside you tells you what you can belong to and what you cannot belong to. You state your belonging, you state thine name, and walk in thine power, and walk in thine creativity. Reclaim your voice, dear lighted ones. Right now, state out loud to your fields. I reclaim my spiritual, cosmic, celestial, universal voice. I reclaim my voice now. And feel that go through all your chakras. Anchor it into your Earth Star chakra. Say it one more time. I reclaim my voice now. And you'll feel your field stand at attention. The universe stands at attention. I reclaim my intelligence now. Say it out loud. I reclaim my worthiness now. I reclaim my beauty now. I reclaim my health now. I reclaim my all-knowingness with God now. I reclaim my oneness in love in God now. I reclaim all that I am now. This is thine knowing of thine name. My cells, my blood, all is listening. This is knowingness. Nothing outside of you gives this to you. You claim it. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Thank you for reminding us. I love you. I have just enough for one question or two questions, Holy Spirit. This is your inner compass. Please be guided only by your inner compass. And your body will tell you. Your body will show you what the inner compass is exciting you in, avoiding or moving away from. Your body is a constant receptor of energy. Your body is constantly reading the outer environment. And you will become more sensitive. We've just gone through a great portal. And clearing and cleansing your fields daily will assist you in feeling into your heightened sensitivities, your gifts, your skills, your talents. And then you sit at the art table. Then you begin your process of alchemizing, becoming, churning, excavating. This is the garden, dear lighted ones. You eat seeds of God. Godliness is Ti'ama'a, e. Si'amama'a, e, a. Tekima'a. Thank you. Yod he vod he. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Thank you, Holy Spirit. One question, please. One question from the collective. Yes, there are spirits always with you. Spirit is always with you. Spirit's always with you. Spirit's always with you. You are never not with spirit. You're always with spirit. Spirit's inside of you. You have spirit guides, you have spirit beings that are around you. You have celestials that can make themselves seen and known if they so choose. They're waiting for your readiness. You have a protocol, you have a blueprint that will state when and how you're ready. And there are those that are meant to be there exactly when they're meant to be there. You have beings that have signed with you since the beginning of time on who will be next to you when your spiritual teams will be seen. It's already preordained. And it's moving in great excitement. And you will feel them next to you by how your body gets goosebumpily. You go into a room or you go next to a tree. There's a spirit beside you. Spirit is awakening your body. Spirit is awakening. Remember who you are, spirit delighted ones. Remember. Take a deep breath. I remember what it's like to be spirit. I am alive. Life lives through me. I create life. I manifest life through me. That's being alive, delighted ones. Manifest. Be the commandmentship of life. You have not been taught these things. I am that I am. Si amama. A. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Si amama katatiki. One more quick question, please, delighted ones. You have spirit guides that are with you in all ways, and each of your spirit guides are with you to help you with something different. You have spirit guides for healing. You have spirit guides for your whatever it is right now that you're most excited about, whether you're learning about math, whether you're taking a new job in medical field. You have guides that are with you, and your guides change frequently depending on what you've changed and how you're operating in new and different ways. So your guides are moving and moving with you in different ways. Isn't that nice to know? You have these specialty beings that are always with you. So yes, you do always have spiritual guides with you. Anybody that would like to donate, that would be wonderful. Sessions for sessions for your vocational alignment, sessions for your celestial. If you want to ask your teams any questions, please just book a session. PayPal.me/Joanna L. Ross. If you'd like any collaborations, please book an appointment. That's how we have to do it, just because of the stalking and all of those things. And my phone has not been working, so we have to go about certain ways, for the time being. I'm so excited to work with all of you that have a pure heart. We're going to be creating wonderful, wonderful things for the human collective, so I'm so very grateful. And to my beautiful clients that have sent me money this month for eating, and for I haven't been able to pay any bills, but thank you for sending me money for food. I'm so very grateful. And I came into a beautiful experience, and so I'm always thinking of you, and I'm so very grateful that you have thought about me in your moments of care and love and kindness. I'm so very grateful. So please go out there and know, dear lighted ones, your story is meant to be known and heard, and we love you so very much. And just send love and light to the oceans and to the planet and to the beautiful children. We love each and every one of you. Namaste, and book your sessions, and we'll see you tomorrow. Namaste.